Murder charges now filed against two teenage girls in the death of a woman who was found stabbed multiple times at a vacation rental.
On March 23, 2025, a cleaning crew entered a vacation rental in Washington City, Utah, and discovered a chilling scene: blood upstairs, belongings scattered, and a woman lying lifeless. The victim was identified as 47-year-old Andreea Mottram, a respected social worker and human rights advocate, who had been stabbed 14 times.
A woman was found by a cleaning crew in that vacation rental behind me, stabbed 12 times in her torso. It turned out the scope of what had happened here went far beyond this community and even beyond California, where the woman was from.
2 phones and a purse submerged in a toilet suggested an attempt to conceal evidence. Investigators soon learned that Andrea had been staying with her 16-year-old daughter, Bella Sorescu, and Bella's 17-year-old friend, Abigail Flanagan. Both teens were missing, and a diary entry from Bella, expressing hatred toward her mother, raised suspicion. With no signs of forced entry, the investigation turned toward the 2 juveniles as the primary suspects. A manhunt soon led authorities to Los Angeles, where Bella and Abigail were apprehended. As the case unfolded, it revealed a tragic story of betrayal and violence, leaving a community stunned by the senseless loss of a woman who dedicated her life to helping others. Welcome to Urban Crime Stories. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for upcoming episodes. On March 23, 2025, a team of Verbo cleaning staff arrived at a short-term rental property located in Washington City, Utah. They were scheduled to clean the residence following the departure of previous occupants. However, as they approached the property, they noticed something unusual. The garage door was wide open. This unexpected detail immediately raised concern among the workers, as it was not standard for a vacated property to be left unsecured. Upon entering the house, the cleaning crew was met with a surprising amount of belongings still scattered throughout the home. Clothes, luggage, and personal items appeared to have been left behind, suggesting that whoever had been staying there had not packed up or officially checked out. Their concern deepened as they moved through the main floor and eventually made their way upstairs. It was there, in one of the upper rooms, that they discovered a horrifying scene. There was blood present and a woman was lying motionless. Shocked and alarmed, the staff immediately contacted emergency services. Without wasting any time, officers from the Washington City Police Department arrived at the residence to conduct a welfare check based on the report of an unresponsive individual. As officers entered the home, they moved cautiously through the rooms, eventually locating a female who had sustained severe injuries. The woman had been stabbed 14 times and showed no signs of life. She was pronounced deceased at the scene. While performing an initial safety sweep of the property, officers discovered 2 cell phones and a purse submerged in a toilet. The strange location of these personal items suggested a possible attempt to destroy evidence or conceal digital information. Investigators noted the condition of the house and began securing it for a thorough search. The presence of the submerged electronics added a new layer of complexity to what was already a deeply troubling case. A subsequent examination of the home revealed no signs of forced entry. Doors and windows were intact, and there was no visible damage to the entry points. This led investigators to consider the possibility that the perpetrator either had access to the home or was willingly allowed inside. The lack of forced entry narrowed the scope of the investigation and suggested that the victim may have known her attacker or had been caught off guard. The deceased was later identified as 47-year-old Andrea Mottram. With her identity confirmed, the focus shifted to uncovering the events that led to her violent demise. Authorities began canvassing the area and speaking with neighbors in an attempt to determine whether anyone had seen or heard anything unusual in the days prior. The community was left shaken, and the key question on everyone's mind was whether Andrea had been alone in the rental or if someone else had been staying there with her. At that point, the investigation was just beginning, and the search for answers had only intensified. Andrea Mottram was born in 1977 in Romania. While specific details about her childhood and upbringing remain limited, what stands out is the path she chose later in life, a path rooted in service, advocacy, and compassion. Originally from Romania, Andrea eventually relocated to the United States, where she built a life in California. Her profession as a social worker was more than a job. It was a calling. Through her work and activism, she made a lasting difference in the lives of many, both in her homeland and in the U.S. Mottram was especially known for her deep commitment to disability rights and refugee advocacy. She co-founded multiple nonprofit organizations focused on those causes, including efforts based in both the United States and Romania. Among the most notable was the American-Romanian Coalition for Human and Equal Rights, better known as Archer. Through Archer and other initiatives, she consistently used her voice to stand up for the vulnerable. She did not just speak about change, she was actively involved in creating it, helping to lay the foundation for advocacy that would span continents. Her dedication was personal as well as professional. After her 2 biological sons were diagnosed with autism, Mottram channeled her energy into building awareness and resources for autistic individuals, particularly in Romania. She became a co-founder of one of the country's leading advocacy groups for autism, determined to improve the lives of children and families facing similar challenges. Her tireless efforts helped expand support networks and inspired others to advocate for meaningful inclusion and support for those with disabilities. Mottram's impact extended beyond her organizational work. She had a strong online presence and often used her Facebook profile to share her thoughts on issues such as mental health, inclusion, and human rights. She was also a supporter of the LGBTQ community, often using her platform to amplify messages of acceptance and love. In her profile, she described herself as a mother in 3 special ways, a phrase that captured both her biological motherhood and her chosen family. Those who knew her personally described her as a mentor, a source of wisdom, and someone who could be counted on in difficult times. Her compassion went beyond professional boundaries. Mottram worked as a hospice social worker, offering emotional support and care to individuals at the end of life. She also adopted Mihaela Sorescu, known as Bella. In a heartfelt video produced by Archer, she spoke openly about themes of love, identity, and family, while advocating for the rights of the Romanian people. She believed in speaking up for those who often went unheard and was not afraid to use her platform to make a difference. Her final message to the world came on March 22, 2025, just 1 day before her tragic end. She posted a selfie with the simple caption, "This is almost 48, marking the upcoming celebration of her birthday. It was a quiet, personal moment, shared without fanfare. No one could have imagined that it would be the last post she would ever make. The news of her demise shocked the communities she had touched. For those who had known her as a leader, advocate, and friend, Andrea Mottram's loss was not just devastating, it was deeply personal. Her legacy now lives on through the work she began and the lives she changed. As the investigation into the tragic slaying of Andrea Mottram began to unfold, authorities quickly identified 2 juveniles who had been staying with her at the vacation rental. Those 2 individuals were soon confirmed to be Mottram's 16-year-old adopted daughter Bella and a 17-year-old named Abigail Flanagan, who went by the name Jay. Investigators learned that Andrea and Jay had traveled together to Washington City, Utah, to visit Bella, who was enrolled at the time in a residential treatment facility. Mottram, Bella, and Jay were believed to be the only occupants of the vacation rental. On the day Mottram's body was discovered, both Bella and Jay were nowhere to be found. Their sudden disappearance made them the immediate focus of the investigation. The phones found submerged in the toilet were believed to belong to Andrea and Jay. A purse also found in the same toilet contained Andrea's identification. Investigators noted that these items appeared to have been intentionally discarded and possibly flushed in an attempt to destroy evidence or delay law enforcement from tracking the suspects. The act suggested premeditation and a desire to obstruct the investigation. Further background into the juveniles painted a troubling picture. Bella had been living in a residential treatment facility in Washington County for the past 3 years. Jay also had a history of residential care and had recently been removed from such a facility by her parents. During an interview, Andrea's ex-husband Frank, Bella's biological father, revealed critical information. He stated that back in November 2024, He had found a diary written by Bella in which she expressed intense hatred toward her mother and even mentioned wanting to end her life. Frank also reported that Bella engaged in self-harm, often cutting herself with sharp objects, and had a documented history of violent behavior. As forensic technicians processed the crime scene, they located multiple knives throughout the home. One knife in particular, found in the kitchen sink, had been recently washed but still contained trace amounts of blood. In a bathroom located in the downstairs master bedroom, investigators discovered a pair of crumpled jeans. Once uncrumpled, the jeans revealed several visible bloodstains on both legs. Notably, the left leg of the pants bore what appeared to be a bloody imprint of a knife blade. The jeans, estimated to be a size 2 to 4, were consistent with Bella's known physical attributes, leading investigators to believe the pants belonged to her. The investigation also expanded to tracking Andrea's movements prior to her death. It was discovered that she had flown into Las Vegas on March 20, 2025, and had rented a red 2024 Hyundai Kona. Andrea was the sole name on the rental agreement, as the two juveniles were underage. Investigators obtained vehicle information from the rental company, including the license plate number. Surveillance technology, including automated license plate reader cameras, captured the Hyundai traveling northbound on Interstate 15 in Cedar City, Utah, around 12:45 a.m. on March 23rd. A few hours later, the same vehicle was seen heading southbound on I-15 in Las Vegas at approximately 5:08 a.m. It was last detected later that morning around 9 a.m. in Paramount, California. The deputy medical examiner who responded to the scene conducted an independent assessment for the Utah Office of the Medical Examiner. Based on the physical evidence and condition of the body, the examiner estimated that Andreea Mottram's time of death occurred at approximately 10 p.m. on Saturday, March 22, 2025. The estimated time of death placed the moment of the fatal attack just hours before the Hyundai was seen departing Utah. These developments created a grim timeline, placing Bella and Jay as the last known individuals to be with Andrea and raising the urgency of locating them. On March 27, 2025, after days of searching across multiple states, the Washington City Police Department confirmed that both Bella and Jay had been found in Los Angeles, California. Their discovery came after automated license plate reader data traced the red 2024 Hyundai Kona, which Andrea had rented, moving across state lines from Utah to Nevada and finally into California. Surveillance records placed the vehicle in Cedar City, Utah during the early morning hours of March 23rd, and then later in Las Vegas, before being picked up in Paramount, California, at approximately 9 a.m. on that same day. Authorities moved quickly to locate and detain the teenagers before they could disappear again. On Friday, April 4th, Washington City Police officially announced the arrest of the two juveniles. They were each charged with first-degree felony murder. Additional charges included second-degree felony obstruction of justice and second-degree felony theft of a motor vehicle. Prosecutors noted that the charges reflected the seriousness of the offense, particularly given the attempts to conceal the crime and flee across state lines. Investigators believed that the suspects were the last individuals to see Andreea Mottram alive, and with no signs of forced entry at the rental property, it became clear that the attack likely came from within her own circle of trust. The emotional weight of the case was especially heavy considering the relationship between the victim and her alleged attackers. Bella was not only Andrea's adopted daughter, but someone she had raised with compassion and care. Jay had been welcomed into the household as a guest and a friend of Bella's. Mottram had traveled to the area to visit Bella, who was enrolled in a residential treatment facility, demonstrating her ongoing commitment to her daughter's well-being. Despite the nature of the crime, Utah law prohibits prosecutors from seeking the death penalty or life without parole for individuals under the age of 18. Legal authorities confirmed that the suspects would be shielded from those maximum penalties due to their age. However, the severity of the charges and the calculated effort to obstruct justice by disposing of evidence and fleeing the scene have led officials to consider trying the teenagers as adults. A final decision on that matter will be determined by the court in the weeks to come. Washington City Police stated in an official release, There is probable cause to suspect that the victim was stabbed to death by Jay and/or Bella, and that both are criminally responsible. With the suspects now in custody, prosecutors are preparing for pre-trial proceedings while investigators continue working to gather every relevant detail. For those who knew and admired Andreea Mottram, an advocate, a mother, and a voice for the vulnerable, the pursuit of justice has entered its next chapter. What are your thoughts on the tragic slaying of Andreea Mottram? Do you believe the authorities have uncovered all the evidence in this case, or is there more to the story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, if you are new to the channel and like the content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for upcoming episodes. Your support is greatly appreciated. Until next time, I will see you on Urban Crime Stories.